All right, guys, today's video is production. This is the other half of food plotting that I strive for. If you want bigger deer, you're going to have to get production. And production can mean nutrient output like green leaf levels, protein levels, trace minerals. But I'm here to focus more on the grain side of production. There's a very valuable piece of food that deer need to grow big, and that is a combination of green and grain. If you're providing that, you're giving deer the much better potential to reach their genetic output. Grains help pack on valuable fat. Now, different grains will give you different results. So if you're a corn guy, I'm not downing people that plant corn, but you are giving them a grain, which does add fat to a body, but the nutritional output of corn is much lower than the grain output of these bean plants. So I'm using these beans as my grain and green combos. Also, I've added another grain, which is these Milo plants in here. You can see where a storm has damaged my screen wall, but there's also many grains in the screen wall there, ranging from soybean to Milo to eventually the mung bean and cowpeas producing some type of grain. So I'm keeping this combo alive, and it's helping to grow these deer to another body weight. This has definitely helped my winter output mode as far as how much weight is left on my regular deer at the end of the season. So everything you've seen me do, that includes copper treatments, manganese sulfate, potassium sulfate, all these fertilizer things that I've been going over, describing, is prepping the soil for better nutrition output and mass production. For you guys that have issues with plot size, you should gear your goal toward massive production. So if it's just an acre, hey, that's what this plot is. If it's just an acre, make it produce the best it can, and that can change your deer's outcome. So the soil's better, the plants are growing healthier, we have larger leaf sizes, which has increased the tonnage portion of the greens, but now I am fixing the puzzle to the grain problem. So these soybeans, which I have been keeping record of for quite a while, that is your future pot or grain production coming out right there. Those flowers will be your new pods, and you can see that one's trying to transition into it. So based on my old soil conditions, the average pod, or the average set of flowers here when I first started, was 2 to 3 beans per flowering section. You may think to yourself, well, maybe that's pretty good in your eyes, but other people are like, man, that's bad. For the more experience you gain, the better knowledge you have. If you have 2 to 3 pods per flowering node here, your production is way off the mark. These guys have potential to produce way more than that. I mean, way more. So we could hold up to 8, 9, 10 pods per flowering section if we need to. Can you imagine, let's say you take what I started with when I first did this soil, you take, say, 3 pods maximum per flowering node in here. So you look at all these bean plants, which they didn't even get this tall when I was doing my soil improvements. They were half this size. Now I have doubled or even tripled the heights of the plants. So you're automatically picking up 2 to 3 more bean pods that way. The nutrition buildup also increases production, and this plot has had its first year of copper installed, and I'm telling you right now, every plant in here is on a massive scale increase from what I'm seeing. So the plot is beginning to transition to fall and winter. The reliance on protein in deer is falling down. We're heading down and looking for more of a carbohydrate, and we're fixing to get that when this plot transitions to it. There are some plants in here like this milo that is already there. I have some seed heads that are ripe. I have others that are not. So the plot is preparing for that grain output. And all this prep I've done is showing massive results in the grain production this year. So if you want to grow these larger deer, healthier deer, you know, even if you're looking just for another 20 pounds of body weight, this is what you need to try. Production, big time nutrients. I don't care what your planting strategies are. If you just want to plant nothing but corn, make sure that you're producing top-notch nutrition out of that corn, and or as many ears as you can get. So you take that same 3 pods, you've doubled the height of the plant now, and then you stack on trace minerals like boron, copper, manganese, and sulfates. Production may average 8 to 10 beans per plant. So I went from 2 to 3, maybe up to 8. We'll have to wait and see how this is panning out. But some of these flowers I'm seeing that are more developed than either one of these is showing much, much better potential to pull a stunt like that off. So by doing so, I am going to increase my grain output by as many as 3 to 4 times its normal output. So you take this 1 acre food plot, if I have tripled my output, that would function the same as a 3 acre plot. That's how much more grain I'm packing into this 1 acre. Once soil gets healthy, you will be astonished at just how much can grow in one small spot. Now, yes, would I like this plot to be bigger? Sure, I would like to expand it to a 2 acre plot. And that would definitely help for all the visiting deer, because these bean plants, based on the past history I've had here, these grains will last probably till March or even April now. And we're getting production that's well beyond anything in the past that I've ever had, as far as what I'm seeing. So right here, we're talking about grain production. How many of you have milo plants that look like that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heads, 7 heads trying right here. I don't think that one's going to pan out. And that looks like it might be about done. So you got that many heads on your milo. These are smaller than normal, but the output is much better when you combine all that together. Same over here. I can get over here to this one. I would say about 80% of my milo now has got multiple heads. So I'm always been used to 1 big head, or maybe 2. This one plant has 3. Imagine your corn output if you're adding 2 more ears per corn plant, or even 3 more ears per corn plant. The output is going to be sky high. Now look at this bean plant when you're looking for production. If all those flowers are to produce, which they probably won't, imagine the sheer volume of pods that I'm going to break out in here. These deer are going to have plenty to snack on during the fall and winter. This one here's gearing toward that. You can see it there. Production is extremely valuable to pressing deer to new, larger stages. This is just part of your soil improvement process. Without this production, whether it's the green side of things or the grain side of things, you're not going to see a change in your deer until you actually come in and fix things, whether that's through planting, through fertilizing, whatever it is you need to do to increase your production. And I'm telling you right now, for those of you that have lower copper levels, anything under 1.5, you might seriously need to take a look at those. This has drastically changed my grain outputs. It's affected chestnut trees, it's affected milo, bean plants, sunflowers. Here's another milo, which the birds are already starting to destroy some of that. But look down here. Multiple heads again. Here we go with another shot at producing more seed heads. That, my friends, is massive changes in grain production. That will help build even larger fat reserves on deer. Carbohydrates is energy. Deer need energy in the winter to handle that rut. Now I am going to provide that energy for these deer. If I can get over here, there's a certain milo plant I'm trying to get to and show you production. Some of these sunflowers are literally rotting off the stalks now. A lot of ants in here that's been destroying the root system of these guys slowly. That's small production grains right there. So here's another one. You can do production in other ways. Look at the size of the seeds in that. All right, you're obviously going to have to eat more volume from seeds this size than you are, say, seeds from this plant, which is doing better. So let's show a few of those. Look at that. There's more to eat on right there. These are averaging twice the size, so the grain output can be at least twice as much, just even on grain size. Same with your corn ears. If your corn ears are swelling up twice the size, but you still got the same amount of grain, it's double the weight. You're doubling your grain output based on the size that it's growing. I think that sun hemp plant it's not going to stand up anymore, but it's definitely getting bigger. So over here, let's see, it should be back in here. I'm at the point where I can't really walk through this too much more. Okay, here we go. Here's one of them. So let's get this nasty cow or morning coffee out of the way. That has set a record. Look at this grain production. In the same small area, I have managed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 grain heads on one plant. And from the looks of it, I believe that's all we're going to get. So here you can see it's just one plant. Imagine producing 8 times the grain output, or even anything close to that for deer. See how your small space becomes more loaded? So by putting the proper nutrition in your ground, you are jacking these plants up to what they actually can do. We talk about deer potential all the time. Why not talk about plant potential? I think that's something that needs to be discussed more, is plant potential. These bean plants, based on the speed they are growing, has potential to be 6 to 7 feet tall. There's plenty of time. It's in the very early stages of producing grains, which can slow growth down once they develop. But we have massive production change. So keep that in mind as another part of your deer management system. We need production. And I see a sunflower that might need some assistance here because I don't want to lose those seeds. I may be taking this one home. Hold on one second. Man, a lot of these beans have exploded in here. Let's see. I may have to loop around this way. This is going to help me save money, but I'm also genetically harvesting plants that look the best. Certain traits, whether it grew good in poor soil, healthy leaves, anything I can find to help improve my plant output. Let's see here, almost made it. Yeah. All right, let's see what's happened here. I think birds are starting to peel this thing back. If they are, it's coming home. Yeah. Birds are starting to take a big swat out of that. See those seeds? Oh, they're all loose. So this is coming home. And I'll show you even better grain production. And you can do this for any plant. You can, just do the same concept with corn. Come on, break. There we go. That's a big sunflower head. For at least around here anyway. So that will be my new seed output for next year. There's more seed in this one head than there was in 2 of them from last year, even with the birds taking it out. That's the other one I'm eyeing. Birds ain't touched it yet. Another big one right there. So it's all good as far as future seed. Massive, massive grain change right here. Look at the size of them. Here's my thumb for scale. Much bigger protein, much better carbs in there, a lot better fat building ability in bigger heads like this. All right, guys. So that's it. Keep this in mind. When you're building soil, production is the byproduct of all your efforts. You all have a great day.